Hey guys, welcome back to a Code.org App Lab tutorial. This is part 3 of our series where we're going to be looking at our login system, and let's get right back into it. So last time we had we created an app where we can insert new users into our table here. So I've made up some names here and passwords. And now what we want to get running is we want to be able to log in. So if we just try this out right now, if I type in Alice and Bob is the password, and I click on the login button, nothing happens. So let's connect those things. First thing I want to do is when I log in, I want it to go to a different screen. So if you recall, screen 2 is for our new user. And then screen 3 says that you've successfully signed up for our app. So we're going to need to create a new screen. So I'm going to go back to design, new screen. And for now, I'm just going to throw in a text area here. And I want to be able to log out or go back. So I'm just calling this button btn, log out. And over here, I'm going to say log out. And let's add a little bit of code to that. So I'm going to have 2 on event pieces of code here. So on the event that we click on login and on the event that we click on log out, and we want those to go to specific screens. So when we log in, we want to go to screen 4. And when we log out, we want to go back to screen 1. Let's also maybe add a little message here. Say welcome to our system. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so if we log in, right, welcome to our system, log back out. Okay, now notice that we don't need to type in any of the correct usernames or passwords. So it doesn't matter if I type in Alice and Bob here or not. I can still log into our system even if the password is not correct. So let's get into that and let's fix that up a little bit. Okay, so when we click on login, we are going directly to screen 4. There's no evaluation here of, it doesn't get the information here. It doesn't evaluate it. So let's look at how we can do that. So we're going to go over here to data because we're going to need to pull information from this table. Okay, so we're going back to code. We're going to read records. So that's going to pull data from our database. And we have to tell our code which table to pull that from. So this table is called login information. So I'm going to change my table to login information. Be careful of the case sensitivity of it. Now this piece over here, it says for var I equals to 0, I less than records.length, I plus plus. This is quite a complicated piece of code, and I'd encourage you to watch one of my other tutorials that will explain how this thing called a for loop works. But just to keep it brief, what this does is that it says it'll go through all of the information in our table here. So there's 3 pieces of information. So it's going to go through our table and it's going to pull all of that information out. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to compare that information to what we have here in our system. So we're going to have to do some comparisons. So we're going to need to use this double equal sign. So I'm just going to start with the basic login first, or sorry, the username. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if our username, so we're going to get the text of our username here. So that's going to be our text username input 1. Okay, so it's going to get this information and it's going to compare it to, now this is going to be very similar to what we have down here. And I'm actually going to borrow this and I'm going to pull it and put it up here. And this is a special notation. You can say that it references directly to the table login information. And over here, this is the column So here we have a username column, a password column, and a login time column. So if we wanted to compare the username information, we're gonna say, we're gonna change this to username. Let me just check the case sensitivity of that. Right, that looks okay, username, capital U. Okay, so essentially what this does is it says go through all of the records, check if the username happens to match what we type in over here. Okay, and if we have a match, we'll call that a successful login. So we're going to set the screen to 4. If it doesn't match, then we're not going to go to any new screens. We're just going to stay where we are. So we're not going to do anything. Okay, let's try this out. Okay, so now if I just maybe just try to log in right now. Okay, so notice that nothing happens because there's no match of the username. So if I type in one of my usernames, let's say Alice, and I try to log in, that is successful. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And if I, if let's say I have a spelling error, so if I type in A-L-I-E-C, it sort of looks like alien, and I try to log in, it doesn't let me log in, right? But on the other hand, let's try Jason. Right, so that's a successful login. Okay, so it looks like our code is working. And what we'll need to do is we'll need to expand this condition a little bit more to include password. So let's look at how we can do that. So I'm just going to build a separate if. So go over here to controls. I'm just dragged another if out here. And go over here to math. And we're going to need a combination. So we're going to have to do something. This double ampersand means and. Okay, so you see a little pop-up says and. So it's going to do something and something. So we're going to look for a match of our username, and we're also going to look for a match of our password. So I'm going to set up the password matching first, and then I'm going to include this down here. So I'm going to use another double equal sign, and it's going to be essentially the same thing. We're going to get the text, and I'm going to select the password input 1. That's from screen number 1. And over here, I'm just going to type this in directly rather than looking for those little pieces. So I'm just going to type this in, records. Be careful of the square brackets and the round brackets. That's a square bracket I, round bracket to close it off, dot. And this time we need the password. So let me just double check. That's a capital P on password. So that's how I'm going to type this in here as well. Password. Okay, so hit enter, right? So you see that changes to purple. Okay, last thing we're going to do is I'm just going to drag this down here. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now that's getting quite long. So I'm also going to move this down here. And now I can get rid of this if actually. Okay, so now this is almost the same as before, except so when the username matches and when the password matches, then we go to screen 4. Let's try this out. So if I reset and I run this, so if I just have Alice, and I don't type in Bob, and I try to log in, nothing happens. But if I type in Bob, great, that's looking good. So let's just try out an incorrect password, right? So that shouldn't let us log in. And that's looking pretty good. So we'll stop this tutorial here, and we will continue on and fix a few more things next time.